Welcome back to Borson's English Academy. Dear students, today in this video we are going to thoroughly read the text Haunted Houses written by H.W.Longfellow. So students, watch this video till the end. And if you like it, please hit the like button and subscribe my channel to get more videos like this one. So let's start the poem following few words about the poet. Henry Wordsworth Longfellow was one of the most celebrated poets of the 19th century America. He was born on 27th February 1807. His verse is notable for its lyrical beauty, its gentle moralizing, and its immense popularity. He traveled widely in Europe and knew a dozen languages. A Harvard professor and the country's first professional poet, Longfellow heralded a new spirit in American English literature. His fame grew until it took on a life of its own, and he was revered and beloved to a degree few poets have been before or since. When Longfellow began his literary career in the 1820s, poetry often seemed a needless luxury to the practical-minded citizens of the still young American Republic. Along with such other poets as William Cullen Bryant, Oliver Wendell Holmes, and James Russell Lowell, Longfellow played an important role not just in helping make poetry respectable, but more broadly in refining and cultivating middle-class readers. In the gentle hands of Longfellow, readers could be introduced to the finer things in life: domestic sympathies, noble aspirations, spiritual consolations, the glories of high culture. A peculiarly American mixture, Longfellow was both a patrician and a populist, an artist of elite social background whose writing resounded with the masses. Longfellow gained so much popularity that Americans even read his poetry by firesides, in schools, at public occasions. They heard musical renditions sung in parlors and concert halls. Their children celebrated his birthday in school and memorized and recited his poems on several occasions. He always wrote with his audience in mind, paternally consoling and uplifting them in lyrics, ballads, odes, sonnets, verse dramas, and the long narrative poems whose characters became hallmarks of American culture. Evangeline, Hiawatha, the Puritan maiden Priscilla, the midnight riding Paul Revere. The essential note of his poetry, its sweet and settling mildness, its serene reassurance, was perfectly modulated to appeal to the readers. This was socially responsible poetry, poetry with purpose, whose often explicit message urged such virtues as patience, resignation, and hard work. This great celebrity personality died on March 24, 1882. H.W. Longfellow's poem Haunted Houses delves deep into the past memory of the bygone days. The poem portrays a vivid picture of an abandoned house, once vibrant and full of life, now deserted and haunted by the memories of its past residents. Longfellow uses picturesque imagery and evocative language to describe the house as a symbol of bygone days, where laughter, joy, and love once dwelt. Haunted Houses is a lyric poem penned by Longfellow, through which Longfellow makes the readers think that every house where humans once lived and died retains traces of their presence, creating a sense of haunting or lingering memories. The poem unfolds in a series of vividly crafted stanzas, each painting a portrait of the spectral inhabitants that inhabit these dwellings. The poem is divided into 10 four-line alternative rhyming stanzas. So students, let's read the poem and try to understand what the poet has wanted to say through it. In the very first stanza, the poet says, "All houses wherein men have lived and died are haunted houses. Through the open doors, the harmless phantoms on their errands glide, with feet that make no sound upon the floors." So in the very first stanza, Longfellow establishes the theme of the poem. He argues that all houses where people have lived and died are haunted houses in some way. He suggests that these hauntings are not necessarily malevolent. The phantoms he describes are harmless and move about silently. Thus the very first stanza sets the very atmosphere of the poem. These haunted houses are not horror-evoking places at all. In the second stanza, the poet says, "We meet them at the doorway, on the stair, along the passages. They come and go, impalpable impressions on the air, a sense of something moving to and fro." In the stanza, Longfellow describes the presence of these phantoms or ghosts almost all the places in the house. He emphasizes their intangible nature and has described them as impalpable, that is, they cannot be touched, but their presence, their movement throughout the house can be felt. The third stanza reads like this: "There were more guests at table than the hosts invited. The illuminated hall is thronged with quiet, inoffensive ghosts, as silent as the pictures on the wall." In the third stanza, Longfellow metaphorically compares the number of ghosts present to the guests at a table, suggesting that there are more of them than the living occupants of the house. He describes them as quiet and inoffensive, emphasizing their peaceful coexistence with the living. It is noted that the poet has again emphasized the non-malevolent nature of the ghosts. In the fourth stanza, the poet says, "The stranger at my fireside cannot see the forms I see, nor hear the sounds I hear. He but perceives what is, while unto me all that has been is visible and clear." Here Longfellow reflects on the fact that these ghosts are only visible or perceptible to the present inhabitant or the present generation of the house, such as the speaker of the poem. He suggests that the ability to see or sense these phantoms grants the speaker a deeper understanding of the history and memories associated with the house. In the fifth stanza, the poet says, "We have no title deeds to house or lands. Owners and occupants of earlier dates from graves forgotten stretch their dusty hands and hold in mortmain still their old estates." In this stanza, Longfellow explores the idea that the ghosts of the past inhabitants still have a connection to the house even after their deaths. He uses the imagery of title deeds and old estates to emphasize the lasting ownership these spirits hold over the property. Mortmain is a French term that means dead hand and is used in legal terms. If someone's land or property is protected by mortmain, it means that the land will never be transferred, taken away, or denied. In the sixth stanza of the poem, Poet H.W.Longfellow says, "The spirit world around this world of sense floats like an atmosphere, and everywhere wafts through these earthly mists and vapor stains a vital breath of more ethereal air." Here, Longfellow expands on the concept of the spirit world coexisting with this world of sense, that is, the earthly or physical world. He describes this spirit world as surrounding us like an atmosphere, permeating through the earthly realm with its ethereal presence. The seventh stanza of the poem reads like this: "Our little lives are kept in equipoise by opposite attractions and desires, the struggle of the instinct that enjoys, and the more noble instinct that aspires." In this stanza, Longfellow reflects on the balance between earthly desires and higher aspirations within human life. He mentions that our lives are influenced by both the instinct that enjoys, that is, materialistic instincts, and nobler aspirations, which create a sense of equipoise or balance. In the eighth stanza of the poem, the poet says, "These perturbations, this perpetual jar of earthly wants and aspirations high, come from the influence of an unseen star, an undiscovered planet in our sky." In the eighth stanza, Longfellow goes on to say why human beings have such perturbations or anxieties or demands in their earthly lives. He compares our demands with a jar which cannot ever be filled, as we human beings are not satisfied ever. So our need or demand is perpetual. Not only that, our aspirations or ambitions are very high. The poet says that the influence of an unexplored planet is the reason of such wants. This metaphorical celestial body represents the mysterious forces that shape and influence human life. In the ninth stanza of the poem, the poet writes, "And as the moon from some dark gate of cloud throws over the sea a floating bridge of light, across whose trembling planks our fancies crowd into the realm of mystery and night." Here, Longfellow employs imagery of the moon casting a bridge of light over the sea, leading into the mysterious realm of night. This imagery suggests a connection between the physical and spiritual worlds, where human imagination and thoughts traverse into realms beyond the tangible. In this stanza, the imagery of the moon continues to the following stanza. In the last stanza of the poem, the poet says, "So from the world of spirits there descends a bridge of light, connecting it with this, over whose unsteady floor that sways and bends, wander our thoughts above the dark abyss." In this stanza, Longfellow completes the metaphor introduced in the previous stanza, suggesting that just as the moon casts a bridge of light into the night, the world of spirits similarly connects with the physical world. He describes this bridge as unsteady, implying the tenuous and shifting nature of the connection between these two realms, the physical and the spiritual, and suggests that human thoughts wander across this bridge, transcending the boundaries of the material world. Thus, the whole poem explores the interconnection of the physical and spiritual worlds, the enduring presence of past inhabitants in the spaces they once occupied, and the mysterious forces that shape human existence. Longfellow uses vivid imagery and metaphorical language to evoke a sense of the supernatural and to contemplate the deeper mysteries of life and death. The poem "Haunted Houses" further explores themes of memory, mortality, and the interconnectedness of the physical and spiritual realms. Through its evocative imagery and profound themes, this poem serves as a haunting reminder of the interconnectedness of past, present, and future, and the ineffable mysteries that lie beyond the realm of human understanding.